Hey, it's Lori from Nelson Farms today. Do you guys have tomatoes that you need to get canned? We have some in the freezer and some fresh ones that we picked, and we're gonna make those into tomato sauce today. And I have my sidekick with me here, Clara. She's gonna be helping me today. So in another video, I explained to you guys how you could freeze tomatoes if you're getting them in at like sporadic times. So if you're getting them in from the garden and you don't have enough to can, you can put them in the freezer. So most of the tomatoes we're going to use today are going to be from the freezer. So let me show you how to get these thawed out and skinned super easy. So you want to fill your sink with hot water and then just drop in those tomatoes. So just leave them in there a few minutes and you'll see the peeling's going to just come off really easy like that. So all you do now is just peel off the skins. They come off really easy. And cut off any blemishes you see on the tomatoes. So Clara's finishing up peeling those, and what I've been doing is chopping them up in small pieces like this and putting them on a cookie sheet. So I'm just cutting these tomatoes. I'm just quartering most of them. And they're still a little frozen on the inside, but that's fine. I'm just quartering them and throwing them in this pan for now. So this is how they look after we've cut them up. And the only other thing we're gonna do to them is we're gonna add a little salt and pepper, a little garlic and a little onion, and then we're gonna cook these in the oven and let them get soft. I actually don't add a lot of like spices and stuff now because I want to be able to pull this sauce out of the cabinet and do with it what I want to do with it whenever that time comes. So, you know, I might want to use it as spaghetti sauce. I might want to make something else with it. And that way I'm not married to one thing. It's just going to have a little onion, a little garlic, salt and pepper. In the oven at 400 degrees, and it will cook for about 45 minutes, something like that. So while the tomatoes are cooking, what I'm going to do is get my jars and my lids together. A few things to remember about that. You cannot reuse these lids, so make sure you have new lids to use on your canning jars. You can reuse the screw-on tops, so you need to get these cleaned really well. And I like to throw all of my jars I'm going to use in the dishwasher. I just do it on the quick cycle. That way they get hot and they're clean, and then I boil them. So for today, I'm going to be doing some quart and some pint. I don't have that many to do, and I think I'm gonna really focus more on the pint jars because sometimes Clara and I are the only ones that eat pasta sauce, and so we don't need like a whole quart of it. We just need a little bit. So I'm gonna focus today more on the smaller sizes. A couple other things you're gonna need. You're gonna need either citric acid or lemon juice. This is a little bit easier. I usually actually prefer the lemon juice, but you can do either. This will help the pH stay correct while the food is being stored. Canning salt you're gonna need, and of course, I always recommend that you have your ball book handy. And this is the recipe. Clara, zoom in on this. This is the general recipe of what I'm doing, although I'm kind of modifying it a little bit.
I am cute. Oh, my ear. Just ignore that.
Okay, so these are hot and coming out of the oven. So what we're gonna do is, so you see all that liquid in there? We really do not want all that liquid since I'm making pasta sauce. So I'm just gonna pour that out and catch all the tomatoes. It all doesn't have to come out, but I like for most of it to be out. And I'm just gonna put the tomatoes right in a blender. I like to blend this up because I like a really smooth sauce. And if there are any skins left, oh, there's one right there. You can easily just pull them off. It's probably gonna burn me. It's not too bad. That's one good thing about roasting them. Any skins that were left behind, you can just get out pretty easily. And there's that big hunk of onion. I'm leaving that behind. I'm not gonna can that. I just wanted it in for the flavor, so I'm leaving that behind. Okay, so I'll let that blend up really good because I don't really like the seeds in there, but sometimes there are just gonna be seeds in there because I don't use like the miller or anything like that. So blending it real good will get rid of the seeds, and then I'm just gonna put it in a big pan and do this exact same thing with the next batch.
I did a photo.
Okay, so these are ready, and I'm just going to get rid of some of that liquid in there. Those cherry tomatoes produce a lot of liquids, so if you can use more of the saucy tomatoes, like Amish paste, it's gonna be less liquid. So again, if you find any skins, you can just take them out. I'm gonna pull out that garlic, I'm gonna pull out that onion. I'm not gonna can it with those, I just wanted it for the flavor. So again, this is a pretty small batch, but you wanna put your blended sauce into a pot and just get it really warm and make sure it's reduced the right amount. This is perfect, this is the thickness that we like. So we're just gonna let it heat up throughout, although it's pretty hot. But I want to show you a few things about the steam canner. So this is the steam canner that we're going to use, and to use this, you only fill the water up to this platform here, so you're not using a lot of water. We're going to fill up our jars, put them on here, put the lid on, and then you have to watch the pressure here. So I'll explain all that as we get to it, but I'm going to do the smaller jars today rather than the quarts. So our jars were washed in the dishwasher, and then I put them in this hot water bath. This container is actually our pressure canner, but I just fill it up with water, and we keep the jars in there so that they're hot when we start canning. Okay, so we've just been actually putting the tomato sauce in the jars, and I want to show you the exact process. We're using the smaller jars, not the quart, so just lay it there. I can't find my good jar holder, so we're having to just use that. What is that? Some tongs? We're just improvising. So if you're using the smaller pints, you want to put a 1/4 teaspoon of the citric acid in there. I'm sorry, yeah, it was a 1/4 teaspoon, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of the canning salt. So put that in the bottom, and then add your sauce. I love this consistency because it's smooth and you can't even tell that there are seeds in it. And the reason I'm not adding dried herbs or anything else is just because it's a blank canvas. Like right now, we could pull this out of the pantry and make it really whatever we need to make it. So you want about 1 inch of headspace at the top. So check your headspace, make sure it looks good, and then do this, make sure you get the air bubbles out, and then it's super important that you wipe off and clean right inside of the rim, because if that's dirty, then you may have an improper seal, and that could lead to a lot of issues. So make sure that's good and clean. And I just need the screw-on cap. Thank you. It's hot, but we're gonna go with it. Fingertip tightness, and let me show you. Okay, so you just basically keep adding your jars in here until you've got all the jars that will fit in here, and then you want to put your lid on and increase that temperature. And then you're gonna watch the pressure, and we're in zone 1, this top zone. So once it gets into that green area, that's when we're gonna start our timer. So we only ended up with those 3 containers, but we're still gonna process them. That was a really small batch, and if you only have, you know, like a pan or 2 of tomatoes, it's fine to do a small batch. The other option though, if you don't wanna can this, you could just as easily like make dinner with it or stick it in the fridge for later. But I wanted to show you guys how to use the pressure, or how to use the steam canner, because it's so easy. So you can see that pressure is in the correct area. So now I've turned down the heat. So I go from the triple low to the double low, and that will keep it, you just want to keep an eye on it to make sure it stays in that dark green area if you're in zone 1. And then I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes, because for this tomato sauce, you only have to steam can it for 15 minutes, whether it's in the larger or the smaller jars. And you know that because it's actually right here in this ball canning book, and it will tell you you just need to can it for 15 minutes. And a water bath or the steam canner is the same time. After your 15 minutes at the correct pressure and temperature, just turn your eye off and then take the top off. You want to make sure you angle it away from you because it's going to be really hot. We just ended up with 3 jars. We didn't have very much at all, but one of them I heard pop already. I think this little one, I heard it pop already. So we're gonna leave them there for a few minutes. Okay, so when you're ready to move these, just set them somewhere that they won't be bothered for 24 hours. So now you want to leave these undisturbed for at least 24 hours. You'll probably hear the tops popping. After that 24 hours, before you put them in the pantry, you want to unscrew the screw top on them. You don't want to store them with that screw top on them, because that could lead to like appearing that it's sealed and it's really not. So if for any reason these come unsealed, you want to know about that, because you don't want to eat that. So make sure that after these pop and you're ready to put them up, unscrew that lid. Thanks for watching. Hope you subscribe. Hope this was helpful, and we'll see you next time.